audience here and chairperson and my opponents. My name is Yuki from Koishikawa High School, and I'm in charge of the constructive speech as affirmative side. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairperson. My name is Yuji from Koishikawa as well, and I'm in charge of attack speech from affirmative side. I'm very glad to be here, and I'd like to enjoy this debate with Utsunomiya Higashi High School. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Shiri Takaba from this Koishikawa Secondary High School, and I'm in charge of a defense speech. I'm glad to be here, and I'd like to do my best, and also I'm gonna enjoy this debate. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairperson, judges, my opponents. My name is Haru, and I'm in charge of summary speech. I'll try my best. Thank you.
Thank you. We will now have brief introduction from the negative side members.
Thank you, Chairperson. I'm Joshi, and the opponent. My name is Tomoka, and I'm a constructive speaker from negative side. And I'm nervous, but I want to enjoy this debate. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairperson and judges and my opponents. My name is Hiroki. I'm a attack speaker from the negative side. I'm very glad that we could break through the preliminary match. So I'll do my best. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairperson, judges, and opponents and audience. My name is Yukina. I'm a defense speaker from the negative side. I'll do my best. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairperson, judges, opponents, and audience. My name is Kotaro. I'm a summary speaker from negative side. I'm so honorable to be here. I'll do my best. Thank you.
Thank you. Please say your name and start.
Thank you, Chairperson, judges, and my opponents. I'm Yuki, and let's start my speech. So there are two plans. Plan 1 is provide assimilation program including Japanese language and tax education. We also will make use of volunteer groups. 2. Promote the same rights and working situation for immigrants. And we went to AD. 81. Solving labor shortage in nursing care industry. Solving labor shortage in nursing care industry. Present situation. Japan's population is aging and working population is decreasing. Many companies in nursing care industry can't have enough workers. According to the Koikizaitan Housing Kaigo Rodo Ante Center in 2017, 62.6% of nursing care companies answered they are in lack of workers. Labor shortage in nursing care industries is very serious and must be solved. Process. After the plan, migrants will work in nursing care industry and contribute to solve labor shortage. According to Ministry of Health, Labor and Welfare, the number of foreign workers who work in nursing care industries has been increasing since 2009. Also, even under the current situation, which government hasn't issued nursing care visa, 1% of all foreign workers is in nursing care sector in 2017. By turning to 1% to 10 million, we can assume at least 100,000 immigrants will work in nursing care sector. Besides this, we will give working visas to immigrants after the plan, so it will be more easier for immigrants to work as a nursing care worker in Japan. Moreover, governments have started to promote a system to improve the working situation in nursing care industries such as wages. Therefore, more immigrants will work in nursing care industry and compensate lack of workers. Impact. Without the plan, the number of people who can receive enough nursing care will increase. According to Yomiuri Online in 2015, 430,000 people won't be able to get enough nursing care in 2025. If we continue the current situation, there will be more serious situation. For example, elderlies will need to take care of elderlies, and even the risk of lonely deaths of elderlies will be increased. RAD is important because it's an obligation to protect the weakest people in our society. And we go to 82. 82 is positive impact on social security. Positive impact on social security. Present situation. Japan's population is aging. The expenses on social security system is increasing. We will need more money to support our social security system. According to the Ministry of Finance in 2012, we will need about 1 trillion yen to maintain the pension system, medical care, and nursing care every year. The government needs more revenue. In fact, immigrants will have positive impact on public purse. We examined two situations considering tax revenue and social security revenue as benefits, and public services and assimilation policy as cost. First, according to research by Nomura Research Institute in 2009, if we get 100,000 short-term foreign workers every year, there will be about 700 billion yen of annual net fiscal benefit after 30 years. If they make households, the benefit exceeds the cost by 3.8 trillion yen annually after 30 years. Immigrants contribute to the national budget more than they cost. Impact. Now, about 19.4% of elderly people live in poverty. We need to support their lives by giving pension money. Besides, we cannot increase the burden because it will have negative effect on our lives. For especially 15.6% people who live below the poverty line, they will not be able to give in the daily necessities such as food and clothes. Therefore, we must sustain the social security system without increasing citizens' burden. If we take this plan, we can sustain the social security system and decrease citizens' burden. According to the simulation reported by Rati, if we get 150,000 immigrants every year, permanently, the pension system rate will be reduced by 3.66% by 2100 compared to the station without immigration. We should take this plan to sustain the social security system and decrease the burden on citizens. I repeat our ADs. 81 is to solving the labor shortage in nursing care industry, and 82 is positive impact on social security. That's all for me. Thank you.
Thank you, speaker. We will now have a 1-minute preparation time.
Thank you, Chairperson. My name is Kotaro. So let me ask you some questions. So firstly, on your first argument, so what do you mean by care workers?
Care workers, so they take care of elderlies.
Okay. And then you said that after the plan, 1% of immigrants will work because in the current situation, 1% of immigrants are working, right? Then why can you guarantee that 1% of 10 million immigrants will work? In the current situation, there is the EPA, so 1% of immigrants are working.
So we will continue the EPA.
But we will accept simple labor.
How can you say so?
How can you say so? According to HEnDA definition, almost all immigrants who work.
So after our plan, it will be more easy for the immigrants to work as a nursing because of the working visa.
Okay, thank you.
So it will be easy for immigrants to work.
And you say that we can help 430,000 elderly people after the plan, right?
Yes.
Why can you guarantee that 1% of 10 million immigrants will be enough to save 430,000 elderly people?
So 100,000 is at least. So
why can you say at least? There will be absolutely 100,000 skilled workers.
Because in the current situation, even which government hasn't issued a nursing care visa, 1% of all foreign workers is in nursing care sector in 2017.
Okay, thank you. So let me move on to the next questions. On your second argument, so did you consider the cost?
Yes.
And what kind of cost did you consider?
So for the cost, we consider the public services and assimilation costs such as language education.
Okay, thank you.
Question time has ended.
Thank you, Chairperson. My name is Tomoka. The year 1, the major Japanese part-time workers. Present situation, part-time or non-legal jobs are giving a great lifeline to socially weak people. According to Statistics Japan, more than 20 million people are part-time workers, including 13.9 million women, 3.2 million elderly, and 290,000 disabled people. These jobs are vital. For example, according to Japanese Trade Union Confederation, more than 90% of single mothers who work part-time say that they are not financially stable, but they cannot find other jobs. Now, these workplaces are protected because, according to Japan International Training Corporation Organization, the government is strictly limiting the number of immigrants. However, MHLW says that if we accept more foreign labor, Japanese workers will lose jobs. Effect. According to Otakemion and Okusayashi, immigrants will replace Japanese part-time workers for 2 reasons. First, they tend to choose the same jobs as Japanese part-time workers, and they will compete with each other. Second, according to 外国人労働者問題資料修正, companies will hire immigrants because their entry-level wage, the lowest wage at which a worker is willing to work, is cheaper than Japanese. Actually, from 1990 to 2010, immigrants took Japanese people's jobs in spite of serious labor shortage. According to our estimation based on research by Otake and Okusa, 1.92 million Japanese people will be jobless. Impact. This plan will only put the social weak into harsh situation. For example, single mothers cannot give proper education to their children, and disabled people cannot make their living. Furthermore, suicide will increase, because according to Kyoto University, suicide and unemployment are strongly connected. Based on the data of my Tochigi, about 7,000 people will commit suicide a year. To save Japanese citizen lives, we should not adopt this plan. DA2, damage to local governments. Present situation. Even now, local governments such as cities, towns, villages are suffering from financial burden from immigrants. According to the Japan Research Institute, or JRI, one immigrant costs 400,000 yen for government services for foreigners, such as education and working support, and 230,000 yen for social security and medical services. However, the tax immigrant paid to local government is only 80,000 yen. As a result, one immigrant is causing an average loss of 550,000 yen per year. So, according to Mitsubishi, about 91% of local governments don't want them anymore because they cost too much. Currently, however, local governments manage to survive because the national government is restricting immigration. Effect. After a plan, because of the influx of immigrants, local government expenditure will exceed its revenue, which will put them in serious debt. When we apply the 550,000 yen loss per immigrant to each local government case, at least 106 of them will collapse, according to the definition of the Ministry of International Affairs and Communications. This includes big cities such as Nagoya and Osaka. Then, more than 20% of all Japanese citizens living there will suffer terribly. Impact. Government collapse causes serious damage to citizens. According to JRI, the local tax rate and cost of public services such as water will increase drastically, damaging all citizens' lives. Especially, socially weak people will suffer because government will stop providing allowances and medical care services for children and disabled, and hospital beds will decrease, and elderly people's home will be closed. The local government affects students' lives greatly. Without their support, citizens cannot keep their standard of living. However, after the plan, people have to live inevitable harsh lives. This plan is against the government policy to protect its citizens first, so we should not take this plan. DA1, damage on Japanese part-time workers. DA2, damage to local government. Thank you for listening.
Please say your name and start.
Thank you, Chairperson, judges, my opponents. My name is Haru. I will start. So firstly about your DA1. So you said like 1.9 million people will be jobless because of a plan, right?
Yes.
So what is the calculation?
According to estimation based on the research by Otake, if 1% of foreign works, 1% of foreign workers come, about 0.35 to 0.661% part-time worker loses jobs. In 2065, the number of the people who work in actually is about 26.61 million. Number of immigrants is about.
Okay, thank you. So why you can say the Japanese will like lose to immigrants?
There are two reasons. First, the immigrants tend to choose the same jobs as Japanese part-time workers, and they will compete with each other. And second, according to the companies will hire
Can I
immigrants
move on
because
to next? I'm sorry, I move on to the impact. So your impact is focusing on single mother who have part-time jobs, right?
This is a single mother example.
Okay, thank you. And how many will be jobless after our plan?
You want?
Yeah. How many people will like lose jobs?
1.92 million Japanese people will be jobless.
Thank you. And how many will commit suicide?
7,000 people will commit suicide a year.
Okay, thank you. Please show me the calculation later. And I move on to the A2. So why you can say cost will overcome the benefit?
Because according to JRI, 1 million costs 400,000 yen for government services for foreigners and 230,000 yen.
But that's the calculation, right?
Yes, but we have data.
What did you consider? Okay, So about your impact in DA2. So how many local government will collapse?
106 of them.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jefferson and judges. My name is Hiroki. I have 4 tech points to say. First, this is that the labor shortage in nursery industry is serious. However, it's no problem. According to Sankei newspaper, Japanese government will adapt the AI to care elderly people. So workers' working environment will improve without immigrants. And also, according to Robostat, company cannot introduce them because of high cost. However, on this point, according to MHLW, the government made the plan to give bonus to buy robot. For example, Ministry of Economy at most 25 million yen for introducing care robot per one facility. So the cost problem will be solved, and at the same time, the labor shortage will be also solved. And second, this is that immigrants will come to Japan and work as nursing care, work in nursing industry. However, they don't do that. According to Minna no Kaigo and Longevity Social Policy Committee, foreign countries such as Germany and the UK are trying to get more care workers from Southeastern Asia with higher salaries than Japan. So foreign care workers won't come to Japan. And third, this is that the immigrants will solve labor shortage. However, it's not true. According to Minna no Kaigo, even if immigrants get license, 20% of them go back to their mother countries. So few immigrants work as a care worker in Japan. And fourth, this is that many elders will be protected. However, it's not true. According to Tokyo University, in America, when immigrants come, the average income went down by 3% because immigrants were employed for cheaper than, as my partner said. And so now the biggest reason for high quit rate of care worker is low wage. So if their wage gets lower, more Japanese workers will quit. So after the plan, there will be less care worker and very harmful. I will move the attack to 82. First, about their data, the weakness of our study is that this paper does not analyze 3 points. First, the social cost of immigration, such as additional public education. So, and two, the difference between the impact of high-skilled and low-skilled immigrants, and three, something like that. So, their calculation is wrong, and also, according to another data, immigrants, they estimated that immigrants bring their children. However, on this point, the immigrants will higher cost on education, so the cost will be much higher. And second, according to Workers' University, immigrants will increase burden on Japanese society. According to MHW, if immigrants settle in Japan, cost for security will increase by 650 billion yen. So immigrants will not reduce Japanese students' burden. Also, third, their argument based on assumption that immigrants pay tax. However, it's not true. According to BHA, 60% of people who have family to support in abroad don't pay no income tax. So therefore, the argument does not stand. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairperson, judges, my honorable opponents. I'm sure I have some questions. So could you summarize the second attack to 82?
Okay. According to Minna no Kaigo and Longevity Social Policy...
to the 82.
82, sorry. Okay. According to Workers' University, the MHLW, if immigrants settle in Japan, cost for social security will increase by 650 billion yen. And we collect from them only 360 billion yen.
Does it consider the benefit?
Yes, as I said, 360 billion yen from the cost.
Yeah, thank you. And then your second, third, and fourth attack to 81, you're based on the minnanokaigo.com, right? Is that the authoritative website?
I have another data. It says that same things.
What's the data?
According to the Urban Community Research Center for Asia. So.
Okay, you can show me later.
Okay.
And then for the second attack to D82, you said why the foreign care workers the higher wages?
As,
What's the reason?
sorry, pardon. Sorry, please can you
Oh yeah,
repeat?
could you so you said the hired nursing care workers want the higher salaries, right?
Germany and the UK are trying to get more care workers from Southeast Asia with higher salary than Japan. So the nurturing care immigrants will go to such countries, so they hardly come to Japan.
Okay, thank you. So you're saying that the foreign workers will go to the Germany and the UK rather than Japan, right?
Yes, because their wage is higher than Japan. in
Okay,
such
for the
countries.
third attack to 82, 20% of nursing care will go back to their countries, but what's the reason? But yeah, you can show me later.
But I don't know, but even though they have the right to.
Thank you, Chairperson and judges. My name is Yu Chen, so I'll start my speech. So as for DA1, I have four attacks. So first of all, in the process they said there will be the lowest wage immigrants are likely to be higher than Japanese do because they have lowest wages. But actually we have planned that we're gonna provide same rights to immigrants and Japanese. So this can cover the problem, and the argument doesn't stand. And next, as for the labor will be Japanese labor will be replaced by foreigners. So they said in 1990 to 2010, actually part-time Japanese workers did lose jobs because of immigrants. But it means it can be occurred by the current immigration policy, such as trainee system. So our plan is not problem, and their argument doesn't stand. And as for the third one, so in the effect, they said 1.9 million will be jobless and 7,000 will commit suicide. But their calculation is very unclear. Therefore, we cannot say is the argument stands. And as for the impact, they say single mother wouldn't provide education to children. But actually, they say in the present situation, many women can't get job, and there's no connection between these two things. So their argument is very unclear. And as for the DIY impact as well, they don't consider elderly mothers and disabled people have family to support them. And also, why you can say the government will dismiss the people like me, weakest people in society? They provide public assistance so we can solve the problem too. As for DA2, I have three attacks. So first of all, as for the process, they said tax revenue of local government will decrease by accepting immigrants. But actually, the local government can still get tax allocation from government, and so that local government can afford those things. And also, next attack is also toward process of DA2. So they said local government where there are many immigrants were likely to be collapsed. But actually, in Shinjuku ward, foreigners own 5.9% of population, and in Toyohashi City, which owns 4.1% of foreigners' population, the government is not collapsed yet. So their probability is low. Because the process doesn't stand, their impact doesn't stand as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairperson. My name is Gina. I'll ask you some questions. So firstly, I'll ask your DA2's attack points. So firstly, you talked about tax allocation system. So the after plan, how much the tax allocation will come by the central government to the local governments?
So we don't know exactly how much, but actually tax allocation system is for the local government they can't get enough social those tax revenue.
How do the amount of money is decided?
It's decided depends on how much revenue those local government
thank you.
have.
So
it's enough.
So, okay, thank you. So move to our DA1. So you have four attack points. So your first attack point was about our impact, right?
First attack point is
Four-
about
fourth.
force. Okay, force attack. Are you talking? Yeah,
As-
force suicide by employment.
So you talked about so part-time job workers have other person or other people who can get money or their husband, right?
Could you repeat it?
So but you're so okay, never mind. So move to our next questions. So your second attack points. What do you want to say from this?
So actually, it already happens because you use the evidence from based on the data from 1990 to 2010. So it's already happened in current situation, and there's no
Okay.
uniqueness to this argument.
Okay, thank you. So yes, so your second attack point toward the A2. So even now Japan is accepting the foreign labor, but there's no local government that's suffering from costs, right?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Question time has ended. We will now have a 2-minute preparation time.
Thank you, Chairperson, judges, my honorable opponents, and the defense again. First attack, they said the AI can cover the labor shortage in nursing care companies, but that is absolutely not true because, as you all know, nursing care industry is a communication and a human industries, and then they need according to Japan Center of Economic Research in 2013, nursing care robots are not for substituting human workers for completely, but for supporting their work. Robots cannot cover all the sectors in nursing care industry, such as communication with elderly people. There we need immigrants to compensate the labor shortages. And then second and the fourth attack, they're based on the Minna no Kaigo website, but they couldn't prove it. It's the authoritative website. And then, I checked the evidence, it was just a website and it doesn't supported by the authoritative organization. So the whole attack was not based on the situation. And they said they had another evidence to show the immigrants, 20% of immigrants who go to their countries, but they didn't show the evidence didn't show why the reason was there. And then also because the EPS system, currently only EPS system are accepting the nursing companies and the EPS system. On the EPS system, the examination was conducted, and because the examination they couldn't pass the examination, they need to go back. But after the working visa will be introduced, and then it depends on the companies what the qualification is necessary or not, and therefore it'll be easy to and for the working. So let me explain why our effect stands, because we will continue EPS system and provide the working visa, which means that it'll be more easier to work as a nursing sector for immigrants. So we will at least 1% of nursing the immigrants will work in the nursing companies, and in addition to that, the more nursing workers will work. And then also the move on to it was actually succeeding the other countries as well. And the Greek they provided the skills, and then it was succeed. And then move on to the 82. They said the evidence was not applicable, but our evidence does include assimilation costs and education costs. Therefore, our evidence is applicable. And also they attacked us for the 2 children thing, but that's actually making stronger our evidence, because the immigrants will surely bring their family or have children in Japan. According to the Home City, about 67% of immigrants have more than 2 family members. Therefore, our evidence is applicable. And also another evidence from Daiichi Seimei shows that evidence the benefit overcome the cost. And they say the immigrants won't pay taxes, but that is not true, because if you think about it, immigrants will surely pay taxes because they have the work, because of the working visa, and then they pay taxes by the consumption taxes and income taxes by reducted by before so they can't avoid paying taxes. Therefore, our 82 strongly stands. So also move back to 81. So our 80 and 80s are important. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairperson. My name is Ikina. Let me defend our points. So first at that point, they say that immigrants will not hire lower wages than the Japanese, but their point is very irrelevant, because in the first place, as we told you, according to Gakusen 外国人労働者問題修正 company with higher immigrants because their entry level wage, the lowest wage at which a worker is willing to work is cheaper than Japanese. So the reason cheaper wages that companies can get workers so that they will prefer the immigrants. So the Japanese people will lose their jobs. And second at that point, they talked about so our impact is not so big or as such, but after that the situation will be much more serious because more immigrants will come to Japan and the replacement will be more serious, so we must prevent this situation. And third at that point, they attacked our calculation, but our calculation is based on the research from the Oniza and Oksar, and it says that if the 1% of foreign worker increase, about 0.6% of non-legal workers will lose their jobs. So if we calculate from this point, about the 1.92 million will be jobless, and the other evidence, or from the Maeda Toshigi says that if 650,000 people lose their jobs, about 2,400 people will lose their jobs. So from this point, so 1.92 million people lose their job, and about 7,000 people will commit suicide. So we must prevent this situation. And of course, it's that they're talking about our impact. However, so in the first place, so 90% of single mothers are not financially stable, but financially stable, but they manage to live thanks to the part-time jobs. However, if they lose their jobs, it is clear that they will suffer from the poverty, and they cannot give their children to proper education. So we must protect their social weak people. Move toward DA2. So first at that point, they talked about tax allocation by the government, but in the first place, the amount of it is decided by each local government, but it's decided by the population. So the government cannot focus on giving money to the local government which suffer from the deficit. And moreover, even if the local governments can get the allocation system, according to our estimation based on MIC, it's only 30,000 yen per one immigrants. So even if the local governments can get it, it is not enough to eliminate the cost of immigrants because it costs 550,000 in the first place. It will cause a serious effect. And second at that point, so they talked about that there's no local governments which is suffering from the collapse. However, according to Netflix, Oizumi City is facing budget problem because small force of public assistance recipients are foreign and such. So immigrants are a huge burden for the local city. Our example is much more noticeable because the city's situation is very similar to the situation taken after this proposal. So our argument is clear stand. Thank you.
Thank you. We will now have a 2-minute preparation time.
Thank you, Chairperson, judges, my opponents. My name is Haru. I'll start. So I'm going to talk about 2 points. First, the probability, and second, the value. So first, about the DA1's probability. First, what they strongly attacked us was that, well, in current situation, they couldn't deny the fact that in 1992 to 2010, the immigrants take jobs of Japanese part-time workers. It means that in the current immigration policy, the jobs of part-time workers were taken, and even it can be assumed it is because of training system. It means our plan is not effective for that. So the one is not. Does have probability. And second of all, the effect is really weak because first, they're ignoring the fact that they have the family to support them and they have the government to support them. And also their calculation, like how many immigrants will be jobless and how many immigrants will be, the Japanese workers will come to suicide, the calculation is unclear, so we can't read that number. So the DA1's probability is weak. Second, I move on to DA2. So in this point, they couldn't deny the fact that the local government, such as Shinjuku Ward or Toyohashi City, which accept many immigrants, is not collapsed yet. It means that even if we accept 10 million immigrants, the probability of the local government to collapse is really low. And also, as we said in a constructive speech, we have 3.8 trillion yen of net benefit, so we can provide tax allocation for the local government. So the probability is low. However, our AD1 and AD2's probability is strong, as the defense speaker has clearly shown you that AI can't cover the nursing care sector because we need human labor force which can do the human communication with elderly. And why And we need immigrants because first, EPS system is not enough to cover all the labor shortages happening in Japan. And second, domestic labor such as women is not enough for the labor shortages happening in Japan. So that's why we need immigrants for the nursing care sector. And also, as well, our defense speaker has clearly shown you that the calculation of nominal shogun is not clear, and also the burden evidence is clear too. So we can say our probability is more than the DA2's probability. I move on to our impact. So our impact is really important because first, for AD1, if we don't take this plan, there will be about 430,000 of elderly people who can't get enough nursing care. And that's the obligation of the government to provide the services for the weakest person in our society. And next, I will go to our AD2. So if we don't take this plan, the burden will be increased. However, if we take this plan, the burden will be decreased by 3.66%, as we said in constructive speech. It means it will positively affect on our lives. If we don't take this plan, 50.6% of people who live under the poverty line will suffer from the increase of burden. However, we can save this. If we take this plan, we can save the social security system and support 90.4% of elderly people and without increasing the burden. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairperson. My name is Kotaro. So what the government have to avoid is that harsh situation after the plan. Please imagine the situation of socially weak people. Socially weak people will be jobless because, as we told you in our DA1, and also even though they lose their jobs, they will not be able to get the allowances from the local governments. And so these serious factors will lead them to suicide, ladies and gentlemen. And please check this point. So let me summarize today's debate. So first, let me talk about their AD2 and our DA2 about financial situation. So in the first place, we have the two data that cost of immigrants will exceed the benefit of immigrants. So they didn't deny this point, so pretty good point. So their AD2 is based on the calculation, but their calculation didn't consider the educational cost. But as we told you, that the children of one immigrant children cost 1 million yen to the national government by educational cost. And moreover, we will merely accept the simple labor, but their data didn't consider the differences between simple labor and high-skilled labor. Pretty fine. And so their calculation is completely not standing, and their AD2 is not standing because also they didn't consider the deduction. So, and 68% of the immigrants who have the country overseas don't have to pay the taxes. And so their AD2 is not completely standing. And so. And let me talk about our DA2. So as we told you, 106 local governments will collapse because the support of the national government is not enough, as we told you. And then, most importantly, 20% of the all Japanese citizens will get the damage. And so, especially social weak people cannot get the allowances, as we told you. And moreover, quality of medical care will drastically go down. And also, public costs such as running water will drastically increase. So we have to avoid these situations. So next, let me talk about the 81 and our DA1, so about impact. And so, in the 81, in the first place, immigrants will not come to Japan because there are many other countries that the wage is higher than Japan's one. And so, immigrants will not come to Japan. Moreover, in the calculation, the proportion of care workers is high because there is an EPA. So there is 1% of immigrants for working as care workers. But we will accept mainly simple labor according to HEnDA's definition. And so their calculation cannot be applied to our plan. And so, even though this process completely stands, there are no proof that we can save the 430,000 people, ladies and gentlemen. However, as we told you, 1.92 million workers will be jobless after the plan. And so, for example, 90% of the single mothers are not comfortable financially. And so, such a serious situation causes suicide. And so, at worst case, 7,000 people will commit suicide per year. And so, that is what the government have to avoid. And so, we must not take this plan. Thank you.
Thank you, debaters. The debate is now over. You all did a great job.
Well, basically it was a good round, actually close round. And all of us judges, 5 of the judges, strongly agree with the higher level of this match. However, the results were somewhat split. Means that there could be some improvements to how to win the game. I'm going to argue this later. And also, please be reminded that this could be the last game of today for some of you, but this is just the beginning of your renewed debate life in future. And I see some good friend of mine who continue to debate even after the graduation of the university for more than 30 or 40 years. How old are you? This is our sincere hope that you would continue to be a debater even after the graduation to up until those day when you are working as a business person or working in houses and so forth. Okay. Once a debater, you are always a debater. That's what I want to say. Okay. Thank you for the reaction. Anyhow, well, overall points for some improvements. First, please depend on the evidence or card appropriately. The example can be said in some attacks from the negative side. AI is the current work. AI may help in future workforce or the supply of the workforce, but our reasonable doubt remains that this kind of AI things can be actually applicable in the field of nursing care business. At this point, affirmative reaction was right. Then the challenge to the negative side remains that why didn't you introduce those robust evidence to support the initial attacks? That have made a difference to make an argument somewhat convincing. Please introduce the card properly. And the second, also please pay attention to the credibility of the cards. Well, in this match, this was quite impressive dialogue between these two sides. Who wrote that article at the Minna no Kaigo? Compared to those Professor Fumio Otake, who is that quite famous character, sometimes appears on the NHK, Otake's statement may be credible, but we do not know who wrote the statement at the Minna no Kaigo. The challenge by affirmative was quite reasonable, and the negatives had to respond in some good way. Yes, we are HEnDA style depends on the evidence. Means we cannot lie in the round because the opponents always challenge that. Why don't you prove it? However, the quality or credibility of the evidence should be challenged at the same time. So this is a typical example that those source can be the object of the attack. Please be reminded. Given those general advice, I'm stepping into those evaluation of each argument. Well, all in all the advantages and the disadvantages survived somewhat. That gives us a big trouble how to compare these two advantages and disadvantages. That's the basic reason why the vote went to the split results. So probably you guys have to think about how to compare in a robust sense that advantage truly outweighs disadvantage and vice versa. Please not leave the judges decide free. You have to control the judge's mind in comparison of those disadvantages and advantages. Okay. Advantage one, well, yes, challenged by negative somewhat, but well defended by the affirmative side. Yes, well, probably we need more good staff. We do not know the correct number which will be expected in the nursing care industries, but we found that it could be some of the help, somewhat. Advantage two also remained. So long as we believe the Daiichi Seimei's calculation, yes, negative has to attack this point. That some evidence says that benefit outweigh the cost. We know the introduction of the plan takes the cost, but negative should have pointed out that cost outweighs benefit, including this Daiichi Seimei analysis. So by this margin, advantage to someone survived, and the money makes a difference to enhance the living of those elderly people and the pension recipients. Okay, similarly, DA number 1. Well, so long as we believe that what is said by Professor Otake, the case survived. And affirmative attack was somewhat weak. Purely depend on that current system is not the world after the plan. But please do not assume, for example, the EP and so forth, we are not experts of those current policy systems. Also, you have to demonstrate that those replacements may not happen for the reason of blah, blah, blah. Please try to kill the linkage of the disadvantages, rather depending on the uniqueness of side. And same thing can be said to local government damage, APA number 2. Initial presentation could be much stronger, if I was you. For example, introducing Uber as an example, actually some local municipalities actually go bankrupt due to the big debts and so forth. This is likely to happen in future and so forth. Without this evidence or this story to be explained, some people may doubt that what's the bankruptcy of the government? Because government, by definition, do not go out of business. So but however, once again, affirmative attack was not necessarily strong. See the Shinjuku example or Toyohashi's example. We do not know the reason why that case could be generalized to this general situation. So once again, you should have considered much stronger attack on the linkage side of DA2. Okay, DA1, DA2 both survived. Now, in the absence of the strong comparison between in the absence of the obvious and strong comparison between advantages and disadvantages, and the result was quite majority and quite split, 3-2. 3 judges favored negative side in this round. But this was quite close round and quite impressive round as well. And congratulations.